Russia is denying that it is deliberately targeting civilians and insists that in some cases enemy fighters were hiding within those buildings attacked. Russia's also reported to have used unguided bombs, which greatly increases the risk of missing targets and hitting civilian infrastructure instead. Let's bring in foreign correspondent Maggie Rulli in Ukraine, along with ABC's Alex Perche in Washington for more. Maggie, what's the latest on the fighting, and how is Ukraine responding to civilian infrastructure being hit?
Yeah, well, Dan, we just saw Ian in the heart of Kyiv with buildings that were bombed out. This kind of indiscriminate bombing we're seeing all across the eastern front in the southern area of this country, as well as there in Kyiv. Apartment complexes. We know one 15-story building was hit by dawn in Kyiv just this morning. We also know in the south, places like Mariupol just continue to get hit as well. Bombing, again, not just military bases, but people's homes, sometimes even people trying to flee. This is a major concern right now, using civilians as these targets. But Diane, it's not the only problem and challenge that authorities here are facing. In addition to targeting civilians, this war seems to be creeping west. We had that massive attack on a base over the weekend, just 10 miles away from Poland, just about an hour here from us in Lviv. A lot of concerns that as this war moves west, what NATO is going to do, and will the U.S. get involved? And Diane, on top of that, we also heard Ian talk about the risk of nuclear engagement. As this war continues to escalate, Vladimir Putin may feel that he's being pushed into a corner. There's that question of what's next and what weapons could be used next. So many concerns on the table right now, Diane.
And Maggie, how do these claims that Russia's saying, oh, we're not purposely targeting civilians, how does that jive with the reporting from there on the ground?
Yeah, Dan, I think when we hear these claims from Russia, it's one in a long list of claims from Russian authorities. And normally people here on the ground are quick to dismiss this. The Ukrainian government has come out calling these attacks on civilians nothing short of war crimes. They are adamant that the Russians must be held accountable for these attacks on civilians. And that is the rhetoric. Right now, the government here are being heralded as heroes. President Zelensky being called a hero. So many people are focusing in on that, determined to fight even in the face of these civilian deaths.
And Alex, the UK and the European Union have announced new sanctions targeting prominent Russians, banning the sale of luxury goods to Russia and more. So what impact could that have? And do you think the U.S. would follow suit?
Well, Diane, I mean, this is pretty remarkable, this fourth round of sanctions targeting some 370 individuals with a combined net worth of $94 billion. And they actually include at least one former president, President Medvedev. But, I mean, this is remarkable. And listen, we've heard, I mean, this has been the response from both the U.S. and also a lot of our Western allies to target Russia's economy. These sanctions going off after these high net worth individuals, basically restricting them the sale or the export of luxury goods to Russia. And then we're also seeing the targeting of state-run enterprises, also Russia's energy sector, and there's further trade restrictions on iron and steel as well.
And Alex, we're getting some breaking news now that Russia is sanctioning President Biden and most of the administration's top officials. What do we know about that?
Well, Diane, this appears to be a retaliation, if you will, for some of these economic sanctions. It's actually been kind of interesting because we've heard not just Russian President Vladimir Putin, but also the president of Belarus make light of these economic sanctions, saying that essentially it breeds some innovation in their own countries, and that Russia in itself has weathered sanctions or thrived under sanctions in the past, which is categorically not true. But here we have Russia's foreign ministry announcing personal sanctions against the president, most of his administration, and also it targets President Biden's son Hunter and Hillary Clinton.
And Maggie, everyone's watching these humanitarian corridors, trying to hear about particularly civilians who are trapped in areas like Mariupol. So what are you seeing as refugees arrive there in Lviv, and what is the latest on these humanitarian corridors?
Yeah, Diane, it's been potentially a positive day for some people, and about 9 humanitarian corridors have opened up. But again, this is such a long, harrowing journey to make it out of these war-torn areas, many still under attack, to get here to Lviv. In Mariupol, I know we've talked about that area a lot. Those are where we're seeing some just horrific images. Remember, that's where the maternity ward was bombed recently. We know at least 2,000 cars have been able to flee that area. Hundreds, if not thousands more, are waiting to leave as well. But Diane, the other challenge is getting humanitarian aid in. Some people are unable to leave. Lviv, the elderly or people that aren't able to walk. So getting humanitarian aid to them in is just as important. Now, these negotiations that are going on today, we spoke with President Zelensky's right-hand man, the man who's in charge of negotiating for Ukraine with Russia, and he did say he's cautiously optimistic, and he said he was going to be discussing things like these humanitarian corridors. That is one thing that's on the list. So we may see some more traction moving forward, more humanitarian corridors. That's what everyone is really pushing for right now here on the ground. And often, Diane, they end up here in Lviv. This city is seeing hundreds of thousands of refugees show up practically every day. Many continue on to go to other countries in Europe. Others stay here. Some going to school here. We know schools just opened up yesterday. We met school children that are finally back in a classroom. So in Lviv, it's this delicate balance of refugees finding some sense of safety. They're still at a country that's in war, but stuck sort of in limbo right now. Not sure where to go next. Diane?
All right, Maggie Rulli in Lviv, Alex Verche in D.C. for us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.